I'm Lisa with Are You My Cousin, and we are going to get started right away with lesson number 1 so that you can get off to the best start possible on your genealogy research and be as successful as you possibly can. Today, we're going to talk about how to brainstorm and create to-do lists and why you need to do this for your genealogy research. So why is brainstorming a good idea for your research? I so messed this up. Okay, try this again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Preparing for Genealogy Research Success mini e-course. I'm Lisa with Are You My Cousin, and I am so excited to be able to bring you this 4-part mini e-course. We're going to be talking about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and that's planning and creating your research plans so that you can be as successful as you possibly can. We're going to jump right into lesson number 1 today, and that's when we're going to be talking about brainstorming and creating to-do list. So let me ask you a question. Does this sound like you? You've been researching your ancestor and you have multiple theories for who the parents are. Or maybe you simply have so many ideas and thoughts on your current research project that you have no idea where to start the next time you sit down at your computer. Maybe you just need some new research ideas. Or maybe you're new to genealogy research and you really just don't know quite where to start. Okay, I think you get the picture. It can be very overwhelming to research genealogy, but I'm here to help take that overwhelm out of your genealogy research. So let's get talking on why your brainstorming session is so important to start with. Okay. The first thing that when you sit down to make a brainstorming session is you get all your ideas on paper. Now, if you've never brainstormed, what you want to do is sit down and you want to write down all the thoughts that come into your head about a particular research project, maybe it's multiple research projects, but whatever floats through your brain and your thoughts, write it down. You want to get all those ideas out of your head and down on paper. Now, when you do that, you're not having to worry that you're going to forget something later on. This is not always running in the back of your mind as you research, but I need to remember to check such and such, because you'll have it down on paper and you're confident that you've got it there. Brainstorming sessions, when you do this, also help you to avoid decision fatigue. Because once you get all those ideas down, you can go through that list and decide what's really important and what's not. Because remember, when you're brainstorming, you're putting down everything on paper, not just what you want to do, but any thought that floats through your brain. Don't judge it, just write it down. Once everything's in front of you, you can go in and decide, yes, this is important to my research. Yes, this is something I need. No, that's really not important. I don't need to worry about it. So you can make those decisions up front and not have to make those decisions on what's important every time you sit down and start a new research session. And lastly, when you are brainstorming, you stop reinventing the wheel because you've gotten all the ideas on paper. You've made your decisions about them. You can stop forgetting about or worrying and forgetting what your ideas were. You have everything down already. You've made those decisions, what's important, and then you're ready for that next step to add them to your to-do list. So you can just stop worrying. I think that's a lot of what I like about the brainstorm session. When I'm feeling overwhelmed with my research, I will stop and just sit down and do a brainstorming session and get everything out and run through the process. And it's amazing how much clearer my thoughts will become. And I think you're going to find the same thing as well. So how do you brainstorm, and is there a right way to brainstorm? Well, guys, I've got a great tip for you, or great news. There is no one right way to brainstorm. This is very individualistic. So I'm going to share with you a couple ways to do it, and you can try them out, find what works best for you. The first way I would tell you would be the list way. Now, this is my favorite. This is absolutely what I do pretty much, well, every single time I do this. And that is, I actually just grab paper and pencil and I start writing. Anything that pops in my head, I write it down. Sometimes I will tell you, I find setting a timer will help me be very focused. It just, for whatever reason, if I know that timer is going in the background, say for 15 minutes, and I can just write and write and write, it just keeps me focused. Absolutely, you can do this in a blank Word document, a blank Google Doc type thing. Any of the note-taking type of programs you might want to use. You could use Trello. You can use Asana to do this in. You could actually even use Google Keep, which is another nice kind of note-taking type of app that's out there. So whatever suits you and wherever you know that you're going to see that list, that's the best. That's going to be the best for you. Use it that way. There is no one right way. Now, another way of another way of organizing your brainstorm list that you have is by using mind mapping strategies. Now, this is a very visual way of brainstorming your ideas, and it has an inherent structure. It kind of gives that structure to your ideas. And it can be done on paper with pencil. It can be done with online programs. A couple of the programs online, one is FreeMind, which is free, and there's another one called Mind Up, which has a free version as well. And I will have you'll find links to those in your in the email, your email for lesson 1. Now, again, I prefer paper and pencil or just free writing in a Google Doc because I get very caught up and distracted sometimes by all the techie stuff. If I'm trying to use a program that has a lot of bells and whistles, like a mind mapping, I get kind of distracted with all that. So for me personally, I find the fewer distractions for brainstorming, the better. But try those out and see what works best for you. So what should you do with those brainstorm lists? So you've gone through the process. You've got, whether you've done it in the list way or whether you've done it through mind mapping, you have this big old list. So what do you do with it? Well, when you have that brainstorm list, it's kind of a master list, and you've decided what you're going to work through, go through it, decide. It's time to get it organized in a better fashion for you to use. At this point, it's time to create your to-do list or your task list. And I typically try to divide mine out into 3 different types of list. Again, this is very individualistic. You may have a different process or different type of list that works better for you after you see what I've talked about. That is perfectly fine. Again, I just want to get your creative juices flowing for what works for you and how to create a system for yourself. So I usually start with a time-based list, and this would be anything that is time-specific, obviously. So in other words, if maybe I'm working on a project that I want to have done for a family reunion. Well, obviously that's time sensitive. It has to be done by the family reunion. And so any task that came up on my brainstorming session, and I would put in that time-based list. And I would then take that time-based list, anything that I've put on that list that's time sensitive, and put those tasks onto my calendar so that I know that they will get done in a timely fashion. Now, another way to do this would be to do it by surname. So maybe I have a certain project and I'm working on a particular surname, and I have a number of items from that brainstorming session that are important that I need to work on. Then I'm going to make it on a surname-based list so that when I sit down to work on that particular family line, I've got that list right there and I can pull it up and I'm ready to go. Another good type of task list or to-do list would be to use a location-based list. And you may find some crossover between these lists. You may find an item goes under the surname list, but it also works well under a location-based list. Now, an example of this would be a list of any records I might wish to research that are located in a specific repository. So, for instance, I might know that I need to research wills for several ancestors in a particular county, and that those wills are at that county courthouse. So that the next time I go to that courthouse, I can pull out that list that I've made based on the location of that repository, and I am ready to research, and I less likely to forget to look for a particular item that I need while I'm there. So hopefully that's going to keep me, save me time, so I'm not having to backtrack and go back to the courthouse to find records I missed. But try these out, guys. These are the 3 basic ones that I use. I find them very helpful. You may find others work well for you. Okay, now guys, it is your turn. What I want you to do is I want you to pick one ancestor or one surname, and I want you to sit down and I want you to brainstorm for 15 minutes. Go ahead and set that timer, stay focused, and try to sit in a quiet place to do this. And then just start writing. Whatever pops into your head, guys. Don't filter it. Don't judge the thoughts. If it's crazy, it's crazy. Write it down. Then from that list, I want you to kind of create your master to-do list, okay, and divide those items out based on location, if they're time sensitive, or if they're all based on a surname. Maybe you just need the location in that list. That's fine. Maybe you need all 3 of these. Maybe there's a 4th one you want to add. Absolutely fine, guys. Play around with this. There's no, as I can't emphasize enough, there's no one right way to do this. And you may find you try something for a while, it doesn't work. Not a problem. If it didn't work for you, try something else. But this can give you an idea to get you started. Okay, guys, that's it. You've got a little work to do. And I look forward to you joining me again next time for lesson 2. And you guys have a great day. Bye.